Afternoon, everybody. So welcome to this Q&A for Chemistry at Lancaster. My name is Joe Sweeney. I'm head of the Chemistry Department. Joining me are Andy Kerridge, Nicola Mason, and Sophie Hobson. So I'll pass over to them to introduce themselves. So Andy.
Hi, everyone. My name's Andy. As Joe says, I'm here in the Department of Chemistry at Lancaster. I'm the admissions tutor for the department, also one of the deputy heads of the department. I'm here to assist in any questions you have regarding the university, the department, the course, anything you might be interested in hearing.
Thanks, Andy. Sophie?
Hi, I'm Sophie. I'm a fourth year chem student here at Lancaster University, and I'm just here to help out with any questions about student life and just to give you a bit of my perspective as a student here at Lancaster.
Thanks, Sophie. Nicola?
Hi everyone, so I'm Nicola and I'm a student recruitment officer and I work in the central recruitment team at Lancaster. So I'm here this evening to answer any questions that are regarding like general Lancaster questions really.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Gail?
Yep, my name's Gail Sheldrick. I'm under the contact for the chemistry department. So if you have any questions after this event, please use me as the contact and I'll be putting my email details in the chat box so you can contact me anytime. Thanks.
Thanks, Gail. Do you want to just explain how the questions will be run through the chat?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, if you want to just type them in the chat and then Andy will decide who's the best person to answer them. And what we thought we'd do if there's no questions to start off with is we will use some pre-prepared questions which we think might be of interest to folks in this Q&A session, and hopefully those questions might trigger some other questions that you might have. So that's probably the way we'll start. Is that okay with you, Joe?
Yes, of course. Just a bit of background for everyone. This has come about because obviously there are particular concerns in the last year, or in fact over a year now, with the disruption to learning procedures, and we had a number of inquiries from students who were concerned about the impact of the pandemic and the changes to teaching arrangements in their schools and colleges and how it might negatively impact upon their studies. So we decided to draft a Q&A session. And as Gail said, we're happy to just answer questions, but also we've got some questions that we've had from students and grouped them together so we can deal with those all in one go. So, but I'm happy to start with questions first of all, if there are any. Okay, should we start going with the slides, Gail? Okay, so one of the major problems is that laboratory classes, because of the online learning requirements that have been in place due to the repeated lockdowns and social distancing, many students have had very little time in chemical laboratories for learning this year. And of course, many students are aware that that's a significant part of the course when you go to university for all chemistry degrees. And so students are being concerned that this will be a problem. And now, of course, it's not going to be a problem at all, because apart from anything else, all chemistry departments are in the same situation, all students are in the same situation. And so it's going to be a level playing field in terms of the experience that you're going to bring to a chemistry course wherever you go. Everyone is aware of this in every university, but at Lancaster, we're particularly aware of this, and we're particularly concerned with putting in place support mechanisms and restructuring teaching courses across the board, but especially in laboratories, to ensure that there is no disadvantage. So just remember that all students are in a similar situation. All the training that you get will bring you up to speed in all of the skills that you need to be considered to be an accredited practicing chemist at the end of the course. And that's important to bear in mind. By the end of the course, you will have all the skills that you need, and your employability will not be negatively affected in any way. You'll get training in health and safety assessment, which is an important part of all chemical experiments, probably the most important part. And that, again, will not be altered. When we run the labs, in any case, we always have academic staff who are in charge of the laboratories, and we have demonstrators who are a mixture of postdoctoral, so people who've already done their PhD but don't have an academic position, and PhD students. So there's a full support suite of staff always available. That's how we always run lab classes. And so you'll be permanently supported in a very, very close way throughout all of your laboratory experiences at Lancaster. But of course, we will bear in mind that you're coming in with definitely less confidence and definitely less experience. So we'll taper the experience at the start to ensure that you're brought up to speed in a way which doesn't make it too daunting. So the short answer is no, this shouldn't be a problem, the fact that you've had little time in labs. And again, this is possibly one of the first questions that we had to put this Q&A session into our head, is many students out there are feeling that because much of the learning that you've carried out in the last year has been independent or at least remote, that has affected confidence. And so your confidence in understanding the subject and dealing with it has been negatively affected. And the feeling is that students are going to come to university and be disadvantaged compared to other students who they feel won't have suffered in the same way. Now, of course, that is not going to be the case. All students have suffered in pretty much exactly the same way. We're also very conscious of all the difficulties that students have faced over the last year. Many of the staff in the department will, of course, have kids of our own at various different ages who've all been impinged on in terms of the way that they've engaged with learning during the last 14 months or so. We always make a lot of effort to ensure every student gets the support they need individually. That's in the departments through the normal distribution of teaching materials, lectures, tutorials, and laboratory classes, but also through personal advisors and personal tutors who we have in place to provide support for all aspects of the experience at university. So we do this in any case, and that system that we have there, which is very popular with students, our student satisfaction ratings are 100% for overall satisfaction with the course. Part of the reason for that is because students do feel very supported at Lancaster and feel like they're integrated in a proper part of the department. And that's going to continue. At this time, that's going to be even more important than it has been before. The upside of having to study independently is that when you come to university, independent learning is in fact not perhaps the majority of the experience, but a significant proportion. And the fact that you've already had to start doing this is actually great because it kind of front loads you and it gives you the experience that sometimes is daunting. So if you had studied less independently at schools or colleges, you might actually find it a little more daunting coming to university. Whereas now, because you've spent so much more time doing this independently, it's actually going to be great preparation. So there's a saying, where you get lemons, you should make lemonade. And this is one of those situations. The need to work independently is develop skills that you're perhaps not aware of yet that actually will make it easier for you at university. So we believe that the combination of the very strong and deep support systems we put in place, plus the skills you've already learned because of the pandemic changes to learning, we think they're going to dovetail together to give you an excellent experience. So you shouldn't feel disadvantaged. Okay, we get asked every year about maths, so this is something that's actually got nothing to do with the pandemic. So people often don't do maths A level, and we often get asked whether this is a problem. Now, maths is really not a problem. Mathematics is an important component of all sciences, particularly physical sciences, and chemistry contains a lot of mathematical content. But we have a lot of math support in the department. So that's the first thing to say. The second thing is that about 50% of our cohorts don't have maths A level. So this is something that is very common. So it's obviously not a problem, because if it was a problem, we wouldn't be able to run the course. It's not a problem because the way we teach maths in the department, or the way we support maths, is to make sure that it's focused on the embedment of mathematical concepts into chemical concepts. So we focus the maths into a chemistry application, and that's different to studying maths for its own sake. And we find that most students find that a lot more approachable than kind of hardcore maths. In addition to that, we have a lot of other support mechanisms, such as interactive online resources where you can develop your math skills independently, which of course you'll be used to doing because of the changes to your learning practices during the pandemic. And we'll give you real-time feedback through those online study resources. So you'll be able to work with staff, but also outside the departments, to really make sure that your maths is up to the speed that it needs to be. There's obviously other resources you can use, such as MOOCs, online open courses to help with math skills. But really the important thing to bear in mind is that the way we teach maths and the maths that you need for chemistry is not the same as native maths, if you like. Most students really don't find it to be a problem. And if students do find it a problem, we have superb support to help them get over that. Okay, this is something that, as a parent of someone who's about to go to university, I'm particularly interested in. It's been a tough year for everyone, but especially from one context for parents, and the concept of extra costs that you might have, or they might have, through a chemistry course is a really, really important one. We make sure that everything that we can is provided for you. And so, for instance, in laboratory classes where you need PPE, personal protective equipment, we provide lab coats, we provide eye protection, we provide all the equipment that you need, we provide lab books, and we provide online access to core materials, both for laboratory classes and for lectures. And so we provide as much as we can. We are very sensitive to the fact that extra costs are a particular problem at this time. So we try to do the best that we can there. We also have free learning resource packs, which will provide the key materials for all your studies. And that free learning resource pack will contain the things that I've just mentioned. So the short answer is there shouldn't be any extra costs. If there are extra costs, then the university have a variety of support mechanisms in place to help mitigate any cost impact. But in chemistry, normally there will be very little additional costs that will be borne by students. So travel abroad has obviously been greatly impacted by the pandemic and because of the need for restrictions in contact and social distancing. The word that we have is that the statistics seem to be pointing to the fact that life will be back to normal by September. Now, what normal means in September is, of course, open to interpretation. But at present, the advice that we think that we're going to get is that social distancing will be gone. Yeah, there may be some requirements for masks or sterilizations, but travel should be perhaps not back to the same volume as pre-pandemic, but should certainly be a lot more feasible. If you register for a degree with a study abroad component this October, therefore, it's very likely that that won't be affected in any way, assuming that things taper off in the way they have been doing in the last couple of months or so. So we think it is realistic that you'll be able to study abroad if you start a degree with that component in this October, because remember, it will be some time before you are going abroad in any case. So please do register for those courses if those are things that you think will be of interest to you. Okay, so this is again something that we've had a lot, is about any support in terms of videos and reading materials that you can use to help your learning and get you prepared for the start of the year. As I mentioned, the independent study that you've already been doing is probably the best training that you've had to be able to get yourself up to speed and to get into the practices that are university that are different from schools and colleges. In terms of reading materials, the best there is never one textbook, because obviously there are many different branches of chemistry. For organic chemistry, the best textbook which we found is one by Greaves, Warren and Wathers, which is called Organic Chemistry. Another really general useful one is Chemistry Cubed, which is by Burrows and Parson et al. And so they're two reading materials that you might want to get your hands on. In terms of websites, there's a whole bunch of stuff out there. You will have seen some of these things already. Chemistry World, which is an RSC publication, is a place that you should look. So that's chemistryworld.com, one word, Chemistry World. And that has hundreds of articles on all branches of chemistry. Many of them have been prepared by the Royal Society of Chemistry, so they're very credible in terms of the accuracy of the scientific content. And if you want to find out something about chemistry, that's the place to go in the first instance. There are also dozens of links to other websites, but that's the Royal Society of Chemistry site, curated by the Royal Society of Chemistry, which has really credible video resources. So that's what we'd recommend in terms of read materials and videos to help you get up to speed for the start of the year. Okay, the minor system. So minor system, you may if you haven't seen this before, it's actually, I believe, an American system in origin. And the notion is that you would study a subject which could be quite disparate from the one that you study as the main components of your degree, hence the major and the minor terminology. Chemistry will be the major subject that you study, but you can also study other subjects which may be related or may not. So for instance, biology is often taken as a minor subject in a Lancaster chemistry degree. Environmental science, mathematics. Mathematics is not always that popular, but there are people who take minors in maths. So the way it works is that essentially we provide you a list of subjects that you can choose from, and those topics will not be curated by us. We will compile a list based on what we're told by the departments which run those courses. And that, of course, will depend on availability. So in other words, if they have staff who can teach that course, and also capacity. So there will be usually a limited number of students from chemistry who can take courses, for instance, in the biology departments. But where possible, we'll accommodate all your wishes. So you choose from a list, and then we allocate you according to availability and capacity of the course. And some of the courses that people do are really not closely related to chemistry. You can do criminology, for instance, which has a link through forensics to chemistry, but really is quite different from it. So the minors gives you a really good chance to get a breadth to your education, which you perhaps wouldn't get if you studied just a single science. Okay, so in the accommodation, one of the great strengths of the University of Lancaster University is the college system. So the college system has been, I think, for the last 5 years, won the award for best UK residences in universities. One of the reasons is that it's high quality estate. In other words, that the rooms are nice, they're very high quality, but also because it's embedded within the Lancaster campus. And so you can roll out of a bedroom in county and be in chemistry in, I reckon, 90 seconds. Not that I'm advising that you do that. So the halls of residence are really embedded within the operational parts of the university. In other words, the departments and the services. Within the accommodation, all students are mixed up. So that's not intended to give a comment on their state of mind. That's really just to say that what that is that we take people from different subjects and we mix them in all over the place with people doing very different things. The colleges are real communities in their own right within the main university population. They have generally the same facilities, generally the same experiences with some nuances. You'll be mixed in with students from other subjects. Most undergraduates choose to live on campus in the first year, and the collegiate setup gives you a great way to make friends and to settle in. There are 8 undergraduate colleges and 1 graduate college, and these are normally very popular. Most of the people who belong to a college love being in a college, and many of them keep in contact with the college after they've left the university. The quality of the accommodation is very high. As I mentioned, 2/3 of the accommodation are en suite, where you get your own bathroom and toilet. But there are also more affordable ends of the market where students can share facilities in townhouses and also self-contained studio flats. So the accommodations are at a high standard, and you generally won't be just with chemistry students. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of different support that we've got in the department and in the university. So academic advisors, as the name suggests, are to do with the academic content of the courses, and program coordinators are the people who will arrange how the teaching programs run. We also have things outside the kind of academic support. So I mentioned about pastoral care. So we have personal tutors. Each student will be issued with a personal tutor in the department, and that contact will be about non-academic matters. Of course, you can discuss academic matters whenever you want with any member of staff, but the personal tutor scheme is really about providing support for issues that may be outside the learning process. So that may be if you live in a noisy place, or it may be if you're having some problems with family, or if you're having some mental health issues, or anything at all. So in addition to the support that we give you, which is teaching focused, we will also give you personal support as and when you need it. If you have requirements that require professional help, the personal tutors will signpost you to the professional services which exist on the campus to be able to provide support over, for instance, mental health. So we have a full support program for the pastoral elements of life at university, as well as the academic elements. Okay, so if you make Lancaster your firm choice, the communication system is pretty straightforward. As an incoming undergraduate, you'll be invited to apply for membership of a college and for accommodation from June in the year you're due to start. All students who accept a place will be contacted automatically by email, and they will be invited to create an account and submit an application for that accommodation. So automatically, as soon as you accept, you will be entered into the system. That process will obviously continue as people continue to accept, and then the numbers will run down as the places are registered for by the students who have already accepted. So it's an automatic process. You do have to have some actions. You have to create an account, you have to submit an application, but you will be automatically approached and told about deadlines and processes as soon as you accept a place on a course. So that should be pretty straightforward. And you will get the same sort of automatic information sent out to you about how you start your degree. So in other words, when you need to come, how you register, what you do to go to the departments, all those sorts of things, you will automatically get communication. Some of them will require you to take action, but the actions will be straightforward and will be simple. Okay, so we understand what's gone on in the last year or more. We understand that the pandemic has changed everyone's life. We understand it's a once in 100 years medical emergency. We therefore won't be thinking about anybody, any of our students or applicants, as being at a disadvantage if they can't do the extracurricular things that they would have done in normal life. So no one will be at disadvantage if they can't put the kind of added skills into their personal statements that they might have. We understand that life has been difficult, and we understand that everyone has to change their practices. So no one will be at disadvantage if you can't include extracurricular in your personal statement. Okay, Welcome Week. You're going to like Welcome Week. Welcome Week is a programmed week in which there's a range of academic and social events designed to help you get into university life. So the first week that you're on campus, there will be no teaching. There will be a whole series of events, some of them to do with your learning, some of them to do with the departments, but many of them to do with university clubs and societies, to do with colleges, and there will be social events associated with those. So Welcome Week is the university structure which is run jointly with LUSU, the Students' Union, and the JCRs, the Junior Common Rooms in college, to really welcome everyone, or to welcome all freshers to campus and to really get them up and running. It's a great chance to meet lots of different people, to find out about everything that happens in the university, both from an academic point of view and also outside the departments in terms of your own personal interests, and also to find out a little bit about the town. There'll be trips out to town and trips out to the local environment. So it's a really programmed week, which most people enjoy enormously. It helps you find out about Lancaster, the place, Lancaster University, and also it helps you get to know the people that you're going to be on the course with, including your lecturers and tutors, and also the people that you're going to be living with. So I think you're going to like Welcome Week. Okay. They're the questions that we've seen most often that we've answered there. I've answered there. I'll obviously be happy to talk to anyone about any questions that they may have, which we've missed out. So please feel free to fire away.
I think Joe did a fantastic job. He did a brilliant job answering all of those questions. What I would say is, if you are looking into the different colleges that are available at Lancaster, please do not be hung up on a certain college that you really, really want to get into, because if you don't end up being part of that college, whatever college you are part of, you will absolutely love. I do a lot of sessions with lots of different student ambassadors from colleges from across the university, and every single ambassador says their college is the best college. And all the colleges are all very similar. They offer very similar events. They have very similar facilities. So whichever college you become a part of will be your best college, and you'll love it. And by the end of your time at Lancaster, you'll have that college literally running through your blood. So we do get a lot of questions like, which is the best college? Which college should I use? What if I don't get into my first choice college? So yeah, I just wanted to draw upon this, that honestly, it doesn't matter what college you're part of, you'll absolutely love it.
So I can come in there. I'm also principal at Bowland College, so I understand how the college system works. And Nick is absolutely right. Everyone says the college they went to is the best college. The other thing to note is that the colleges are all pretty open and they're all pretty close to each other. So even if you don't get into the one that you think is right for you, and say you've got friends in another college, there's literally just a few minutes walk on the flat from one college to another. So I think it's important to look upon the college thing as a really positive experience, whichever one you end up in. They've all got their own little characteristics, but there's also core things that you can find in colleges that they will all have. So try not to get too bothered about that, because yeah, everyone thinks their own college is the best.
And you can also go to other colleges' events as well.
Yeah.
So they're all very inclusive from everybody from different colleges. Sophie, what college are you part of?
I'm part of Cartmel College, and I would agree. I would say my college is the best college, but everyone I meet says that their college is the best. So it's definitely
It's important to remember that this is distinctive edge. Everyone at Lancaster loves the colleges, and you don't get the college system anywhere else. Even Oxford and Cambridge and Durham, which do have college systems, it's not like Lancaster, where all the colleges are embedded in the campus. So it's really jewel in the crown of the university, I think.
Yeah, it is definitely one of the key things of why I chose Lancaster, and it's still one of the things that I love the most about Lancaster now. So yeah, it's definitely a great thing.
What do you enjoy most about the college experience, Sophie?
So for me, it's because I play netball for my college as well. So and my netball team just allowed me to meet loads of people from across my college and make loads of friends immediately from joining, because we had a tasty session on welcome week, I think, and then obviously training after that. And that was just a great thing to meet loads of new people, but also just like the events allow you to meet loads of people within your college as well, which is really great. And I think as well, from the perspective of playing netball, I really like that each college has its own rival as well. Like obviously we have Patriots Weekend, which is a big event where Cartmel goes against Finesse in different sporting events and like quizzes and things like that as well. And it's just a really fun event to be a part of and get to see people from both colleges, you know, really fighting for the college to win.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about the friendly rivalry of colleges, which sounds like really good fun.
Yeah,
especially with the sporting events.
Yeah.
So Gail, if we don't have any questions, should we end this session and we can just pick up the chat at another time? If anything appears, then we can contact people with any questions they do have after the event.
Yeah, absolutely. My contact details are there, g.sheldrick@lancaster.ac.uk. So please do use me as the contact for the department. And after the event, if you think of anything, just email me and I'll pick that up and follow it up.
Okay, great. Well, in which case, thanks everybody for attending, and thanks Nicola and Sophie for your help this evening. And Gail, as always.
Thank you.
Yeah, best of luck, and do get in touch if you do have any questions. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Good luck, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.